And for more on how Alibaba is shaking up the world of e-commerce and hoping to get a better foothold in the US, we're joined from Las Vegas by Ray Wang, Principal Analyst and Founder of Constellation Research. Welcome back to the show, Ray.
Hey, how you doing, Rochelle?
Good, thank you. Now, let's start by looking at why Alibaba is choosing to host such an event in the US right now.
You know, that is a great example. Jack Ma is at a point where he wants to democratize the globalization aspect. And the reason he wants to do it in the US is he's looking for innovation, he's looking for ideas. He really believes that a lot of innovation happens in the US with the small businesses, with small craftsmen, and with organizations that are basically, trying to actually get markets outside of the US. Now, traditionally, it's been hard. Right? Organizations don't even know how to get a permit to do the export compliance. He's basically simplified all that, and he wants to put that in the trading platform, hence the conference that's going on with Gateway 17.
Now, when people think of innovation, they might not necessarily think of Detroit. Why do you think he picked that city?
You know, I think there's a little bit of mystique around Detroit. There's a lot of investment from Chinese real estate folks going into the city. There's a revitalization that's been happening around Detroit. There's been a lot of activity. And believe it or not, there is a lot of innovation in Detroit. There are software companies like Plex. There's all the mechanical and, car manufacturing suppliers and tier 2 suppliers. So there is an export mentality there already. The question is, how do we surround the Midwest, bring them together, and actually take a lot of these small businesses and give them a new opportunity?
Now, small businesses are really considered the backbone of the U.S. economy. So what sort of opportunities is Alibaba hoping to create for these small and medium-sized businesses in the U.S.?
Well, a lot of these organizations wouldn't have the legal muscle, the accounting muscle, the supply chain muscle to take a product and get it into the Chinese marketplace. That's something that's been very hard. They might do it on eBay today, they might do it on an Amazon store, but that just covers North America. If Jack is correct in his predictions, and they've driven $24 billion in revenue last year, they're projected to get to almost 35, 36 billion this year. I mean, there's a huge market opportunity in China. 500 million users across the Alibaba platforms, and if that's not including just the core platforms, but everything that's going from just AliExpress, which comes the other direction, but also the ones that are heading in Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand. They're basically expanding that marketplace, so they need product, and they need product in pipeline.
So as a Chinese consumer or business, you're looking at what's happening here. What are really the benefits that they could be getting out of this?
Well, actually, one of the interesting areas where a lot of interest is in U.S. products is around healthcare, around safety, around food, around brands. There's a trusted component. There's a belief that the U.S. system is a lot better at regulatory compliance, ensuring that consumers are safe, ensuring that consumers are protected, and they want access to U.S. brands and U.S. ideas. So that's one big segment. The second area is really around the innovation, around creatives, around crafts, around inventions that could get brought into the Alibaba system, and more importantly, finding a manufacturer in China also help develop those products, design it, develop it, and actually get it shipped in China and manufactured. So there's some opportunities there. You already see that. Amazon does that today. It takes some great ideas, things that are actually moving very well in terms of volume, in terms of margin, and they get those manufactured in China to ship to the US. We might see the opposite, where they get manufactured in China for the domestic market.
And speaking of Amazon and perhaps even Walmart, if you're seeing Alibaba now entering this market here on this platform, what are they thinking?
Well, they're probably wondering how they're going to be able to take that same type of innovation and open up markets in China, because what Jack is doing is actually pretty brilliant. He's basically tapping into the innovation pipeline, getting it set, building a marketplace in China for American exporters. In the reverse, that's what Amazon has basically been doing, is getting a Chinese exporter marketplace into the US marketplace. And so the question now is, what other countries can we do this in? Can we do it in Brazil? Can we do it in India? Can we do it in Indonesia? Can we do it in Nigeria? Large markets of opportunity.
Now, despite the fact that obviously Alibaba is a huge global company, it's still really not considered a household name in the US. In terms of challenges that you foresee for Alibaba in terms of its US expansion, what do you think could be on the horizon?
Well, we recently saw a lot of activity around Alibaba and the cloud. We see a lot of folks starting to use AliExpress. You see that a lot in certain categories, like in construction, home remodeling. So I think you're going to see more and more usage of it. But I think what is designed around this conference is actually the other way around. It's how do they get ideas from the US, and they might even do it in other countries, and get them into the Chinese marketplace to stir not just domestic consumption, but to help other countries with exports and, of course, the trade imbalance that's happening.
Well, thank you so much. Always good to have you on. Ray Wang, Principal Analyst and Founder at Constellation Research.